What's up YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter here, and today we will be doing a $216 mixed customer coin roll hunt. As you can see in front of us, we've got some dimes, we've got some quarters, and we've got some pennies. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to jump into these coins and see what we can find. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and start with these dimes. As you can see, we do have 7 rolls of, I believe, Brinks wrapped dimes. We've got a bunch of rolls here, maybe about 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. We actually have 10 of kind of the more common wraps you'd find at your bank today. We have 5 of sort of the older green ones. This one is definitely older. I know you can still purchase these green ones, but I don't see them a whole lot. And then we've got at least 3 or 4 different wraps here on this. These did come from 3 or 4 different banks. Most of my orders didn't come in this week, so I had to run around on Friday and Saturday and just find some coins to hunt. I do have a box of quarters and a box of nickels that I was able to pick up, but we'll be doing those as separate videos. We're going to go ahead and jump into these dimes. And one thing before I get started, I did want to show you that hunting customer rolls can be a problem. As you can see here, there is a vast difference in the size of these 2 rolls. So I'm probably shorted already 3 or 4, maybe even 5 dimes right here. So hopefully we've got some extras in some of the other rolls to make up for it, or maybe even some silver. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump into these. The main thing we're going to be doing with these dimes is hunting for silver, just more or less edge hunting. And I will kind of opening every single one of these dime rolls. And we'll do it in fast forward because I don't find a lot of silver, but I do want to see you guys. I want you guys to see me opening these rolls, so we're going to go for it. That said, I do have a document in the description down below this video and all my coin roll hunts that has a checklist of all the things that I look for, no matter the denomination. So everything we're hunting here today, if you want to take a quick look at what we're looking for, go ahead and look in that document. So we're going to go ahead and start on this end, and I'm going to open rolls and be very quiet. And if we don't find anything, we will jump into fast forward with a little bit of music, so you guys don't fall asleep. All right, well, we have our first foreign for sure. Just checking to see if we got anything else in here. It's a 2010. We've got a foreign right here. Hopefully you guys could see that. I'll zoom in on it, but we've got ourselves a 2008 Canada. If I can get the right light on that, but 2008 Canadian dime. So far no silver, but we do have 1 Canadian. All right, well, we're getting into our last roll of dimes, and like I said, I didn't hunt these for any kind of, really the only thing that's interesting to find would be that 1996 W, and my eyes would fall out of my head looking for that. But silver hunting dimes for me has not been that fun. I have found a few silver dimes this year, but probably not enough to make it worth the time I've put in. But I also don't hunt them all that often. I did a box the other day, and I finally found 1 silver dime in a bank-wrapped box. But as you can see from that $150 or so, I think I had nothing really interesting to say except for this 2008 Canadian 10-cent dime. So let me get this cleaned up, get it rewrapped, and we're going to move on to the quarters. Well, I just finished re-rolling those dimes, and as I showed you in the beginning, I did end up really, I think, 80 cents short, because as you can see from my coin counter, I had $149.10 that I was counting back through. That doesn't include our Canadian dime that we did find, 2008. Actually in really, really nice condition. So really 80 cents shorted, and I did show you that super light roll. Doesn't surprise me. If you are going to hunt customer wrap rolls, it is going to happen more frequently than anyone would like to talk about. You know, some rolls are over, some rolls are under. A lot of times it comes out in the wash, but I would say more often than not, you do get shorted. So with that, we're going to move on to the quarters. And the reason I'm saving the pennies for last is they actually take the longest because there's more of them, and there are so many varieties to look for that, you know, I like to save those for last and take my time. So we've only got 6 rolls of quarters, so I'm going to actually film opening those and going through each and every one. And if we have some interesting bits from the rolls, I'll include it. Otherwise, we'll do it all in fast forward. So with that, let's go ahead and we're going to start with this little red roll here. I always like this old looking paper, the solid color paper, because you just don't find that often anymore. It doesn't mean anything because you can still get it. You can still buy it. I can't remember the name of the company, but I did find it before. And you can see in my little red roll, we are already shorted. Let me back up here, sorry. We're already shorted here, 1 coin. We have a 1995 Philly that popped out of that roll. So I'm already 20 cents short in this little 6 roll hunt of quarters. So let's go through these, and like I said, we'll fast forward if we don't see anything interesting. And if I do happen to see something cool under the scope, I will bring you in. And just like that, very first coin, let me get you down here. Sorry, this is going to be a little bit crazy, but you can see we got that quarter under the scope. There he is right there. And we have the Homestead Leaky Bucket die chip right here. That should be a nice solid line. And we have a big old die chip. So I'll put some comps on the screen for what that's worth, but one of my favorite die chips to find on this particular quarter. And you'll see a little cut here as I get you right back up on the rack because I don't want you all to get seasick. All right back to where we were. That's just a Philadelphia. These really shiny ones that look like this, often for me, especially in the 2018 year, end up being San Francisco clad business strikes. And so I always make sure I check those. The quarters of all the stuff out there have, for me, some of the most fun stuff and easy stuff to find because I don't have to put every single quarter under the scope. Obviously, with pennies, there's actually more to find, but they're harder to see, and you end up putting a great number of pennies under the scope, at least I do, and that does get to be a bit slow and a bit cumbersome. So when we get to the pennies, we'll do a more traditional hunt where I'll just bring you in for the finds. With so few rolls, we don't know. Might not bring you in much at all. What is that? What mint mark do we have there? I just realized I didn't bring my find down here. That is a Philly. Checking for that spitting horse. Now we do have a bicentennial. It's not in great shape. It is a Philadelphia. I think it's a Philadelphia. It is. We hang on to those. Now this one's pretty dirty. I'll probably toss it back, but I do like to hang on to them through the hunt, just to keep track of how many we find. There's a die clash on that Sally Ride that I always look for, and that is one I do oftentimes end up putting under the scope just because it's a really awkward die chip to see, and the scope really helps. All right, well, we got 5, was that right? 5 rolls left. And what I liked about these quarters, and I'll bring them down here, was that we had like 4 different wraps on 6 coins, or maybe it was 3 different wraps on 6 rolls of quarters. So that typically, to me, tells me that we have rolls dropped off by multiple people. I don't know why, but it's easier for me to see silver when I turn the roll that kind of sideways. I think it's just the way I've got my lights situated and for my eye. So that's why you'll see me oftentimes look at stuff kind of horizontally and then flip it back vertically because I just like to be able to see them this way as I go through them. But that silver check for me, just the way the light reflects, Just a lot easier the other way, if you were ever wondering why I did that. So I'll try to call stuff out as I go through it. Crossing the Delaware has a big die chip on the hat that I'm looking for. There's some die chips on that one. I typically don't look for it. Airman has a die chip up here. The main one you're looking for is the building on fire. And it's like a, I don't know what it's, I don't actually know what causes it, if it's a lamination break or some sort of die issue. But there's a giant smear through that building, and they call it building on fire, I think. I've been looking for that since 2021 and never found one, but I see them pop up all the time on eBay. And I see them in Facebook groups that I follow of people finding them. I just haven't been one of them. Now the Bessie Coleman's got a lot of errors on it. This one doesn't have any of them. A couple of die chips. It has an inclusion error. I've showcased those on many a video before this one. And if we find one, I'll bring it down and show it to you. All right, that's 2 rolls down. Here is wrapper type number 3. Come on. There we go. Check for that silver. A couple that looked interesting, but none that are silver. That Anime Wong has a bunch of die chips, but it doesn't really go for much, so I've kind of stopped looking for it. The Maya Angelou has a drooling George and a double earring. That's what I was just checking for. That 2010 Wyoming took me a long time to find. There was one right there. If you are trying to do books, the 2010, 2011, 2012, and many of the 2009s can be very problematic to find decent coins, especially if you're looking for Philly and Denver. They took me the longest to find, and I think I still actually have like a 2011 that I need to fill out my books. If I find something in here, we will fill the book, but I didn't want to call this part of my hunt and fill series because we had so few coins to look at. But I'll know what I'm looking for when I see it. I think it's actually like the New Mexico. I think that's the last coin I need for my book. Lots of die chips on the Kanaka Ole. The 83 has the Spitting Eagle. The 66 has a DDR that I've never found, but I always look for it. The 2019s and 2020s have W's. It's been a while. It's been a couple of hunts since I found a W. So hopefully we find one of those in these couple of rolls. That would be pretty cool. There's the tiniest of die chips on that. I'm not going to hang on to it. Okay, 3 rolls left. Now that's kind of interesting looking. That's probably a metal detector find. Silver is going to typically be a solid silver line. But when they're brown like this, it's because they were in the ground. That is like a 2000, what is that? A 2006 Denver metal detecting target. We'll hang on to it for just the sake of this hunt. No value in it because somebody found it in the ground and it's nice and brown and ugly. The 65 has a DDO and a DDR. Again, I have never found either one of those conclusively. I have found a number of them that have machine doubling on them, but none that I've felt comfortable with enough to say they were definitely a DDO or a DDR. 2011 Washington took me a long time to find too. All kinds of good stuff in this roll. Got another Homestead. So lots of stuff on the Homestead. There's about 100 DDRs, and we just found one. And we put these down. We'll walk you over there again here real quick. Sorry about that. I accidentally turned off the camera getting it down off the rack. But you can see right here, we've got a little double window here. And I'll look up on Variety Vista and see if I can figure out which one of the DDRs this is. The coin's not in great shape. You can see we got lots of dirt on it. We don't have the leaky bucket or the snow on the roof. But this is definitely one of the DDRs. Typically, these don't go for all that much money. The ones you really want to find have the big double pump handle in the window, so you basically see part of this doubled up here into the windows, or the really, really big leaky buckets, or the snow on the roof that's kind of going all the way up and down both sides of the roof. Those can be kind of valuable. Something like this, not much more than maybe $1 or $2, but we'll put that on the board as a find. So, sorry about that. Again, it's just hard to get my camera down. Getting it down, I actually hit the button to stop filming, so not what I had intended to do. It's beautiful Denver. All right, getting into roll number 5. And from your vantage point, that probably looks really gray and silvery, but it's not. It is just one of the state quarters. I forget which one. It's a 2002 Indiana. So nothing special there. It just looked kind of gray. It almost looked like a 40% half dollar is really what it looked like from the side. But alas, it is not. That Firecracker's got a DDR. I've looked at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those and never found one. So I don't look at them very often. This is just a 65 I'm checking. All right, well that does it for the quarters. So nothing terribly exciting there other than our leaky bucket and our one DDR. We had one bicentennial all tossed back. And we had one metal detector find, and of course we were shorted by 1/4, so unless some of the other rolls were over, we were 20 cents short on that hunt. So we're just going to put the nickel to the side. We'll throw these up here just to show bring them down here, that we found them, and we're going to move on to the pennies. So for our pennies, I do have a cheat sheet that it's a nice little map that Jinx Brothers, or also known today as Nacho Stuff, had started that I have added to. And you can see I have a few years, and there may even be some stuff that's missing from here. But this is the main document I use when hunting pennies. That's in my checklist document. It's a link. It's an embedded link to this if it's something you're interested in downloading. It's something I keep handy because it helps me when I hunt pennies. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and just open one roll on camera, see if we find any Wheaties in it. And then I'm going to go off camera hunting the rest of these pennies, and I'll just bring you in when we find something. Or maybe I should say if we find something. But we will be pulling copper. We will be looking for wheat pennies. And of course, one of the new big finds that people have is the new VDB-V on the 2023. I think it's on the Philly. It might be on all of them, though. I do see an 81 copper. Just kind of quickly looking through to see if I see any Wheaties. I do have some copper, but I am not seeing any Wheaties. All right, well, I'm going to keep hunting. I'll bring you in if we find a wheat penny, which would be 1959 or earlier, or any kind of variety. So hopefully I'll see you soon. So we are still on that very first roll, and I skipped right over it. I didn't see it as I was pushing through, but we did have I believe it's the Centennial. Well, what does that say? That says 1952 to 2002. So that's like a half centennial coin. I don't know much about this one. I have to have, I want to believe it's copper, but I'm going to have to check this out because I'm not exactly sure what I have here. If this is a cool find or just a Canadian penny. So I looked on eBay just real quick to see what this was selling for, and I think people are calling this the Jubilee Canadian cent. And in kind of uncirculated condition, or even kind of lightly circulated condition, people are asking and actually getting about $1.80 to $2.50 for this 1 penny. And obviously it gets more depending on how nice a condition it's in. If you know more about this penny than I do, which should be a great many of you, let me know in the comments down below. Is this find cooler than I think or more valuable than I think? Let me know in the comments down below. So we're into the second roll of our $6 hunt here, and we've come across our first wheat penny. It did come up obverse facing, so I knew it was a wheat penny because of the year, 1944. If you're unfamiliar why we call it a wheat penny, it does have those wheat stalks on the back. It has a different design than our Lincoln Memorial, so there you have it. First wheat penny on the hunt. Well, we've reached the end of our hunt, and the really only two cool things we found in those pennies were that Canadian cent that I called out, the 1952 to I think it was 2002. Again, I'm looking for your comments on that one in the comments down below, and we did find a single wheat penny, a 1944. Outside of that, we didn't find much of interest outside of 80, yes, that's 80, copper pennies. And real quick, I have my scale out over here. Let's throw those on there and see how much copper we got. And then I'll throw up what that copper's worth up on the screen. Let's see here, 80 pennies. Hopefully I don't have any zinc mixed in there, but call it 246 grams. We'll go ahead and throw what the copper weight is on that. I'm sure it's more than the 80 pennies in face value. So don't forget, hunting pennies can be pretty lucrative just in copper, even if you don't find anything all that interesting. Unfortunately, it is a lot to kind of keep aside in bags or rolls or whatever. I just have, I keep old $500 half-dollar boxes full of them. That's how I hang on to them. But to recap, we did have one bicentennial quarter. We did have two homesteads. We had a DDR, and we had that leaky bucket, which was pretty cool. And no value here, but we had that one metal detector find. And of course, the dimes were not productive either, but we did end up with one Canadian dime. It was a 2008 10-cent piece, super shiny. Something I always hang on to my foreign, so I don't mind finding that. These two will definitely go back to the bank. These two I'll hang on to, and of course the copper and the wheatie and the Canadian here I'll hang on to. But sorry we didn't find more, but it was a pretty short hunt. We didn't have a lot of different rolls to go through, so hopefully you learned a little bit. This video will probably be a little bit long for the extreme lack of finds, but I also wanted to kind of, you know, if you're new to coin roll hunting, see the kinds of things you should be looking for and show you how I hunt through rolls when I do it, because I do a lot of the work, obviously, off camera. Because, you know, a box of quarters might take 2 or 3 hours, and the video is only 20 minutes. So, anyway, with that said, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, let me know by dropping down below. Click on that like button and leave me a comment and answer my questions. If you know anything about any of the Canadian coin I found, or if you have any thoughts on the errors, let me know that while you're down there. If you're new to the channel and you want to get notified each and every time I release a new video, make sure you click on that subscribe button and then click on that little bell so you get notified. While you're down there, click that like button. Leave me a comment as well if you're new to the channel. Let me know you're new. Love to hear from new subscribers. And special shout out to my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel month after month. Anyway, you guys take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.